Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Wednesday night again, and here we are at Squadron Live, Squadron Wednesday Night Live. I can't speak apparently. I hope you guys are doing great tonight. I know I am. It has been a great week and so much going on. The better part of this year has really just been eaten up by moving. I know this is something I've talked about a lot on this show and in emails back and forth with you guys on the phone calls, at the shows, wherever it may be. That's like all we've been able to talk about because it has consumed us on a business level, on a personal level with our families. I know a lot of you guys have probably moved before, but and I've moved, but it's never been like this. We've moved across town. We've moved across the county line from Blue Ridge to Ellijay. Back when we moved from Americus to Blue Ridge, back in, I guess it would have been '08 or somewhere in there. That was a big deal too. But free time hobbies was relatively compared to now very small. I think we moved the entire operation in the back of one 25-foot Penske truck. I mean, it was nothing compared to this. So we had no idea the workload that was going to be involved when we got started. But I'm glad we did it because the end result, it's been great so far. But now that we're finally kind of sort of settled in, we've got a great staff with us now. We were worried about having to hire new people because we had a great team back in Ellijay, but everybody doesn't want to just uproot and move to a different town, and I understand that. So we had to find new people, and we did. And our new staff in the warehouse is just they're kind of all up to speed now. Training is over. Everybody knows what the deal is. And the funny part is today, one of our guys, one of our young guys, Aaron, he came in my office at the end of the day, and it's really cool that all of our new employees have kind of got to know each other. They're all friends now, and one of my guys, Q, came in and he said, "Hey, Brandon, I guess I'm a bad influence on Aaron." I was like, "What are you talking about?" And Aaron walks in with a model. He's like, "Hey, I'd like to buy this model." So now we've got employees that have never or didn't even know what models are. It's kind of hard not to let the model kit bug bite you when you work, at Squadron in the warehouse looking at these things all day. So it's really been good. Things are going great. We appreciate you guys. All of this is possible because of you guys, because of our awesome customers who at some point in time eventually become friends. And most of you guys that are here week after week on Wednesday nights, you have really become friends of mine. So for all of you that are here every Wednesday night, I appreciate that. And if you're joining the show for the first time tonight, thank you. We have a great time, or at least I do, have a great time every Wednesday night getting on here, running my mouth for an hour, giving you kind of the update of the model kit world, at least from my perspective. And it's just a great time for me. So I appreciate you being here, whether this is your first evening with us or whether it's your 100th evening. I don't know how many we've done so far, but it seems like a lot, right? So lots of cool stuff going on. Now that where I was going with that is now that we finally kind of get settled in the warehouse, a lot of projects and a lot of things that had kind of been put on the back burner, I'm finally able to start getting those things back out of the filing cabinet, if you will, and start working on those things again. And same thing for Russ over on the MMD side. We've talked about being able to add new brands to our catalog and add new things and go after new product types and all that. And that's finally just in the last week or two, that's what Russ is starting to be able to focus on a little bit. And if he can bring it in, and he can sell it to me and I can offer it to you guys. So it's really good on all fronts of the business. Things are we finally don't have to worry about moving. So he's got a lot of exciting new brands that he's bringing in that I'm excited to be able to buy from him. There's a lot of his other dealers out there that have been specifically asking for some things that apparently will go good in their retail hobby shops. So when he told me about it, it's like, hey, you want to carry these too? I'm like, hey, why not? It's, has to do with modeling, right? So it's just going to be really good. I'm very excited. We've got a lot of new stuff, new for us, stuff coming from Japan, which I'm very excited about. There's a lot of excellent brands over in Japan that up to now we've just that's been on the back burner, as I keep referring to it as. But those things are going to finally start trickling in after the first of the year. So it's exciting. And then in our own proprietary brands, I've got some stuff cooking, as I like to say, that I'm just super excited about, and I got to hold back not to spill the beans too early. But uh, a lot of some of the brands that we own now, whether it's the brand that we started ourselves, Blue Ridge Models, uh, the Blue Ridge Model stuff, the ship model accessories. We started those, the 3D printed stuff. We started doing that. It's close to 10 years ago now when we started doing the 3D printing. That was very, very early on in the what you have now, 3D printed stuff that comes off of the printer and sells directly to the consumer. So we were kind of early on in that. There was others doing it as well, but some of those designs that we had, they were amazing at the time, and to some extent, they still hold their own today. But the 3D printers that we have now, they've come a long way. So we've been kind of quietly in the background. A lot of you guys I know have been asking, "Hey, when are you gonna, offer your 20 millimeter guns again in 700 scale and in 350 scale and whatever?" And we've got. I've kind of been hesitant to say it because we've been so busy moving. But the reason a lot of those things are not in production or available at the moment is because we've kind of quietly in the background been working on upgrading them, revamping them, in preparation to completely relaunch that entire line. And we've got some. You can't see even what this is. These are 350th scale 20s, but we've got a lot of really, really cool stuff that is totally new, totally revamped, and I'm extremely excited to share those with you. It's going to be a little bit longer. We're looking forward to getting all this stuff launched in the new year. But whether it's the Blue Ridge models line, the gold medal models, we finally have this stuff rolling back in, new packaging, and all of them, they're finally coming back. I know a lot of people have been really wanting these enterprise elevators. If you've got the enterprise kit, 350 scale enterprise from Tamiya, the elevators, they're solid. This Lauren Perry designed these years ago. Very, very nice upgrade. Those are finally back, and just so many of the gold medal sets finally back in production. One of the things you're going to see in the new year as we start rolling out all these proprietary products, bringing some back, updating them, revamping them, making them as nice as we possibly can, given today's technology and machines that are available to make this stuff. One thing that you'll see common across all of our brands is going to be the good old Squadron Eagle. So whether it's gold medal, whether it's Blue Ridge, True Details, we've got a lot of stuff cooking in the True Details line. Uh, the decals, whether it's the super scale line, there's just so many different flagship models. Uh, that's been something that everybody's been asking me, or at least everybody that's interested in those have been asking me, when? And same thing, they've just kind of been on the back burner while been moving. But all these brands, the one common you'll see is it'll be Squadron gold medal models, Squadron Blue Ridge models, and we're going to kind of go with that theme. But there's so many different brands and so many different product lines that we've got going in the ship models. We've got a lot of good stuff in the armor models, 35th scale stuff that I'm very excited about. Of course, some aircraft stuff. And even in our tool line, our tools and our you know, things that are not models that you need on your taste on your table, you know, you've all got a little taste of it, our new sprue cutters and whatnot, but we've got a lot of stuff in that area as well. So lots of stuff to announce, lots of stuff to show off. Very excited about it. But the books that I've talked about recently, the B-24 books, all these things that we're working on in-house, so to speak, we're finally able to start focusing on those things again. So just lots of cool stuff. The Some of the announcements that have been coming out recently. Let me pull this up real quick. I'll show you one that I'm kind of excited about, and I'm going to get into the live chat in a minute. That's I want to make sure and talk back and forth with you guys tonight. I know the last couple of weeks we've been doing other things, so tonight's your guys' nights. If you got any questions or things we want to talk about, go ahead and throw those over there in the chat, and we'll get to it here in just a couple of minutes. But this just dropped today, actually, so I wanted to show it to you tonight. Give me a second. All right, so Trumpeter's doing the 350th scale Gerald R. Ford. Well, up until now, we didn't really have any pictures of the actual kit. We just had the box. But now we get to see what the kit is going to include. And I just put all these pictures up on our website this evening. So you get to go through, see everything. Let me go back to here. Yes, 6 pieces of photo etch, over 2,200 parts in the kit. So it's gonna be pretty neat. And if just sitting here looking, it doesn't mention any 3D parts, but it looks like to me that crane up there, it doesn't look plastic to me. So, I mean, they may be including some 3D printed stuff, lots of decals. They've got the instruction sheets and the paint guides out, so you can kind of see everything that's involved. So we finally have some answers on what the kit's going to look like, for better or for worse. You can go check it out and see what this kit is actually going to look like and what it's actually going to include as far as plastic and photo etch and whatever else. So hopefully you're excited about it. Hopefully it ends up being good. The box looks nice and big. Probably, if I had to guess based on that picture, very, very similar to their Nimitz and Admiral Kuznetsov box, but it looks a little bit taller, really. So I guess we'll just wait and see what the box looks like. And the other thing that is up for pre-order now is, and this we all figured this was coming, the second boxing of their Montana kit. They're calling this one the Battleship. Look at that, I put Battleship. This is Ohio, not Montana. I got to go fix that. But BB-68 USS Ohio, that'll be coming. Have no idea yet what the specific differences in that kit and their first boxing being the Montana is. And back here, I'm still trying to go through those kits. A buddy of mine was asking me earlier how my comparison video between the Verifier, the Trumpeter, and the old Yankee Model Works Montanas was going, and my response was not as fast as I wish it was. The Dora is still taking up all of my space. Now, I am making some progress on the Dora, and I'm trying to get these sprues eaten up as quickly as possible so I can spread these Montana kits out and get that video finished that I have promised you guys. I just want to finish the Dora first, or at least finish up enough sprues to make space, because I don't want to pack it up again. It took me 2 days just to spread the sprues out. So gonna finish that. Gonna do the Montana reviews and see what these kits are all about. So lots of cool stuff. A lot of you guys have been asking me recently about when I'm going to get the second wave of Edward 48 scale Bloody 100th B-17s. They were supposed to possibly be here already, but as things go, they're a little bit delayed. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have them by this time next week, maybe, hopefully. So those will be coming. as well as the flak baits and all the other things that were supposed to be here this month. They are going to be here this month. They're just not quite as quick as I was hoping. And that's kind of a common thing this time of year. All the manufacturers, and they mean well, but they all want to get new big ticket item releases to us and their other distributors in time for Christmas sales. Everybody needs something under the Christmas tree, right? And so I saw a comment in the chat, and we'll get to all the chats in just a minute or two. But the Red Sonja from X Plus, it was supposed to already be on the way. They were trying to get it to us and everybody else in time for Christmas, but production delays when you're trying to get things done and get them, things happen. So unfortunately, it happens this time of year with everybody. Things just end up not quite getting here as quick as you would hope. The original plan versus what actually happens, whatever. So we'll see. So let me jump over here and say hello to everybody. So David's with us tonight, and I am glad that you enjoyed the Mr. Hobby video. The if you haven't looked on our YouTube page, go check out the Squadron TV YouTube page, and I've posted a video. And the title of the video is "The History of the Free Time Hobbies Mascot." So this giant used to stand, and it still stands, in front of our store that was in Blue Ridge, Georgia, Free Time Hobbies. And it no longer is Free Time Hobbies. Now it is a dentist office. And Mr. Hobby is no longer Mr. Hobby. I actually forgot what they called him, but I'm sure Russ is about to send me a message of what they named him. But they painted him up in basically like Dr. Scruggs. So he's all blue, blue shirt, blue pants. And instead of holding a P51, he holds a giant toothbrush. There it is. Dr. Blue Ridge is his new name. So I will try to get a picture of that sometime, maybe next time I'm up there, and show you what he looks like now. But he still stands there waving his toothbrush out at the highway instead of a P51. But the good thing is, at least for the dentists there, I don't think his toothbrush has blown out of his hands. That P51 came down, I don't know, at least 2 or 3 times while it was there. The wind starts and gets it. It was a somewhere in the ballpark of about 1/10 scale. It was a remote control kind of thing from Horizon Hobby. Let's see. I've got a picture. See if I can find it real quick. Here we go. There we go. That's one of the Horizon Hobby guys holding it. So that's, if you saw the picture of the Mr. Hobby, the plane looks kind of small up there in his hands. This is how big it is in person. It's somewhere in the ballpark of 10th scale. But it's a remote control. It was fiberglass. So not fiberglass, I'm sorry, styrofoam. So every time the wind started blowing, I mean, it always scare us. And the way that it was held up in his hand, it basically had to be like wedged into his hand. And so it was kind of pinched. And just if there was a bad storm that came through, it just broke right there where it was pinched together. Yeah, there's a picture. I guess, is that me? Yeah, that's me putting it up in his hand. So he's a pretty tall guy. And it was very cool, very fun. Lots of memories of that trip to Chicago, cutting that guy off of the roof. And just the whole thing about it was very neat. So was very happy. So Joel Baker is the guy who runs American Giants, and he's the guy that came and interviewed us, and he put that video together. So he was kind enough to send the video to me and give me permission to put it up on our channel so that all of you guys can see it and enjoy it. It's not exactly about modeling, but it fits because it's part of our company history, and is very interesting. It is It's a very cool piece of American history. If you hadn't watched the video yet, these things were made back in the 60s by American Fiberglass, and there were hundreds of them back then. And they got the name uh, Muffler Man became their nickname, and that's primarily because the majority of them, ours held his hand out like this. Um, he got the nickname Mr. Bendo because he would hold like a whatever muffler, tire iron, whatever they would hold. There's only a few of those, but most of them, and it was showing off that they could bend these things. Most of them, though, had hands out like this, and they would hold a muffler because they were in front of muffler shops. So through the years, as big things like that went away, replaced with billboards, and then eventually now replaced with social media. Uh, this was, of course, in a time where you couldn't just get your phone out and look on Facebook and see what's around the next corner. So these giants stood out in front to basically get attention and tell you that, hey, this business is here. come, come buy stuff. And but as things started changing through the years, these giants kind of started disappearing. Now, at some point, as Joel will explain, if you go over to the American Giants YouTube channel that Joel runs, he explains that at some point these things started being kind of a nostalgia thing, and people wanted them. And that was the case with my dad. And that's why we ended up with one. Dad tells the story of when he was a little kid down in Macon, Georgia. He remembers, going to eat, and right across the street from the restaurant they were eating at, he would always see this muffler man, or at the time they didn't know it was called a muffler man, but this giant standing out holding a muffler. And, when he grew up, he always thought, man, it'd be cool to have one of those. I wonder if they still exist. And lo and behold, they do. There's, I don't know, little over 100 of them left. Uh, and Joel, the American Giants guy, he is like really into these things. He's got a little side business now where they restore them. So he travels all around the country. He's trying to find every single one of them that possibly still exists. He will just by word of mouth find out that there's one out in the woods back behind an old barn that's been abandoned for years. He'll find out where it is, figure out who owns the land, get it, restore it. He'll work with a lot of cities, and he is up in Illinois, Atlanta, Illinois, I think. He has put together what's called the American Giants Museum. And this picture here, there's two of them standing out front. But over to the right, if you kind of see over to the right, there's two or three more concrete slabs. And at this point, this is a little bit older picture. They've got other giants standing over there, and inside they've got all sorts of stuff. So it's really neat. We took an interest in it, and we ended up getting one. We hope that one day we can have another one if the opportunity presents itself. And we would love to stick him out in front of the new Squadron location and paint him up perhaps like a paratrooper. I don't know. It'd be pretty neat, I think. There actually is another Muffler Man in Chattanooga. If you ever find your way down here to come visit us and you're curious what one of these looks like, up in Chattanooga at a go-kart track called Sir Goonies, they've got a Muffler Man standing out in the middle of their go-kart track. So they're around. It's pretty neat. There's actually a map. Oh man, where's it at? Roadside America. If you go to the roadsideamerica.com website, they actually have what they call the Muffler Man map. And they've got every single one of them that we know about pinned on this map. And it's kind of neat because whenever we drive to nationals, usually it's nationals because that's got us driving to who knows where. This year we're driving up to Virginia. So we always pull up the Muffler Man map, and if there's any Muffler Man anywhere close in the direction that we're going, we always try to stop by and check it out. So it's just something that we like. That's why we bought one. That's why we created a model kit of it. And that model kit, by the way, because I've had a couple of emails about this because we referenced this in that interview with Joel. That model kit, it is coming back. That's part of the products that we're bringing back, so to speak. So it'll be neat. We'll see how that goes. So anyway, jumping back in the chat now. Joseph, good to see you tonight, buddy. And Ken from Philly, good to see you. And Ken's question about the P-51, I already got into that for you there. And Randy working on more book reviews. Man, you got it going on with the book reviews, buddy. That's awesome. Good to see you tonight, Monty. Glad you enjoyed the video as well. Danny, good to see you tonight. And Jason, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. Hope you're building something cool tonight. Looking forward to seeing you in Chattanooga in a few weeks. Carlos is with us tonight. Good evening. The Lawn Care Novice, good to see you tonight. And Jeff from Utah, good to see you. And Danny, what you told me was going to happen in December is going to happen in November for you. Well, buddy, congratulations. I know what you're talking about. Very excited for you. I know you are too. And looking forward to getting that Montana kit to you. That'll be awesome. You're going to enjoy it. Rex, good to see you tonight, my friend. Tom, good to see you tonight from the villages of the White Sands. Hope you're having a good evening tonight. Looks like you're working on a 72 scale kit. That's great. I hope that it turns out really good for you, and I'm looking forward to seeing pictures. Ken's working on a 48 scale Corsair this evening. That is a good deal. Ed, good to see you tonight, buddy. And yes, we are always on the lookout for another Muffler Man. If the right opportunity presented itself, we would jump on it. Unfortunately, the price tag of these things has sort of gone through the roof lately. Joel has done a very, very good job of making these things a lot more popular, just letting everybody know what they are, that they exist. And once you kind of look into the history of them, if you let it, the bug will bite you. So there's as he alludes to in the video, you can buy a replica. You know, they've made molds of the originals now. But if you're like us, if you want the original, there's not, they quit making them back in the 60s. So it's hard to find them. It's not hard to find them. It's hard to find somebody who's willing to sell one. So anyway, always looking though. Good to see you tonight, Derek. And Lee is with us tonight. And Kimberly's with us tonight. Good to see you. Michael, coming to us from Iowa. Had snow, did you? Well, didn't stick yet. It's probably coming soon though, right? Ted, good to see you tonight, buddy. Glad I could be of assistance earlier this week. TD, good to see you tonight. And Frank, indeed, it is party time, my friend. Hello to you too, Bill and Wayne. Michael, don't forget to click the thumbs up. Yeah, guys, give the video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't. One of the other things that I'm finally starting to get back into now that we've got moved is getting back into doing some of my videos. I want to kind of upgrade some of my equipment over here, the cameras and whatnot. So my next round of what's in the box videos and all that kind of stuff that I used to do months ago, when I start getting those start posting those again, I want them to be a little bit better than they were. So let's see, Frank, the Edward Warhawk. Oh yeah, this is pretty exciting. Another new announcement that I am very excited about. So if you guys have been following Edward, they put out their monthly flyers and all that kind of stuff. They recently announced this. they'd been talking about it for a while, but they finally made it official, and we just got it up for pre-order. But this is their all new tool, P40E Warhawk, and they're doing it as a Royal class. And this is, when you look at the price, you're like, whoa. Well, remember, this is a 2-pack, like Edward likes to do sometimes. I think they call them dual combos sometimes. So you're getting, this is 2 P40 Warhawks in the box. But just looking at their images, it just looks really, really good, and I'm very excited for this. So uh, I don't remember exactly when these are coming. Maybe January, but not too terribly long. Not this month or anything like that. But it's not too far away. And let's see. Let me get back to who that was that just asked about this. Here we go. Frank asked about it. This is going to include a poster from Edward, not from us. And I'm assuming you're asking because with the B-17 Bloody 100th, they had their poster, and then we offered our poster as as an upgrade to that. But this one is going to be the poster from Edward. You get a little magnet sticker. All sorts of little extra goodies that are pretty commonplace with their Royal class kits. But that's going to be awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are as well. Hello, Larry. Good to see you tonight, buddy. And Frank, I think this is the comment that I saw earlier when I was referring to the Red Sonja being delayed. I'll just go ahead and say it. They're having to fix some things in the molds, the test shots, doing the test builds. We found out it just wasn't perfect, so they had to go back and make some changes in the mold. So that delayed it. They're still trying to tell me that it's going to be ready to ship to us in December. Of course, it goes on the slow boat, so to speak. So that does not mean that it's going to make it before the end of the year. So I'm kind of holding back on giving any specific dates on that until I know for a fact that it's on the water. So more to come on that as I know it. Arnell, good to see you, buddy, out on the West Coast this evening. Hope you're having a good one. Tom, yeah, glad you got the order, buddy. Let's see. George, the B-24. I've got so many of those B-24s that are in this book so far. I'm losing track of exactly. I know that I'm looking right now. I know that we looked at that one, and I can't remember if it's on the list or not. Let's see, I got to pull it up to remember what it looks like. Oh, yes. That one is included in what we've got cooking. So, yeah, we as soon as Airfix put out that 72 scale version of the H model, we went back and we had to pull a few more ideas to include because we knew that was going to be a very popular kit and a lot of people were going to want decals for it. So yes, mail call is included in what we're working on. And Frank coming to us from Australia again. And good morning, buddy. Hope you have a great day. Good to see you again. Glad you joined us. Let's see. Frank, any news on what I received since November 11th? You're going to have to give me a little bit more hints than that, buddy. I got a lot going on. So give me one more hint and let me see if I can pick up on what you're laying down there. Let's see. Good to see you tonight, Robert. And Ken, yes, sir. It is Wednesday night hobby time. Party at Frank's. Good deal. All the water you can drink, he says. Evening to you, David. And Wayne, glad you're adding to the stash. It's a never-ending thing, but it's a good thing. Let's see. Mark in Illinois, good to see you tonight. And Scott, right down the road from us in Atlanta, good to see you. Justin, coming to us from the Windy City. Hope you're having a good one, my friend. Uh, uh, Charles is trying to run me into a trap. I have not practiced pronouncing that trumpeter kit yet, so you're still going to have to wait till I give that a shot. But one of these days, I'm going to slaughter the pronunciation of that. Scott, I'm glad you enjoyed that Muffler Man video. It's a good one. Hey, Robert, good to see you tonight. And friends, you say, Chris? Well, I consider you guys my friend. If you don't return the thought, then that's on you, buddy. Oh, good to see you tonight, Chris. Monty, 350 submarines. Which ones are you working on? That is actually one thing that I enjoy building myself. I like doing the like the 50s, 60s, 70s. Those subs, they are uh, a little bit more interesting than the most modern subs, uh, but they're a little bit got a little bit more going on than some of the World War II subs, like the Regulus subs. I think those are interesting. Of course, I love the World War II subs too. The the German subs. I'm a sucker for those 72 scale. I got like every version of them, every conversion kit for them, and it's just interesting. The submarines, in my opinion, are through the World War II up through the modern era. They are just interesting enough that you can make them interesting looking. Handrails, in my case, the Regulus missiles, all that. But they're easy enough to get done with in an amount of time that you don't get bogged down on them, which I have a very bad tendency to do, as you can see here behind me with this rail gun. But it's cool. Interested to see which ones you're working on, Monty. James over at Facebook. Good to see you tonight, man. Hope you're having a good one. Let's see. And Chris talking back to Charles. No, the Marseillaise. I think I learned how to say that one correctly. He is talking about the second version of that kit. Trumpeter did it. It's starts with a G, George or George's. So I don't know. I hadn't practiced that one yet. There you go, Frank. Well, we're gonna keep that tradition, right? At least you and me, man. Stuart, the Lexington class battle cruiser. That one is on the design bench, and actually, let's see. I had a relatively recent update image of that, and if I can find it, I'll show it to you just to prove that we are actually working on it. This is okay. Here we go. I found it, and I will show it to you. Why not, right? Now, keep in mind before I show you this, this is a very, very rough, crude render. This is nowhere near the final result. This is basically the step one, getting the thing roughed in, if you will, just to kind of get an idea of where we're going to split it, how many parts, all that kind of stuff. So this is by no means anywhere close to finished, but this will give you just something to look at. So give me a second. Boom. There you go. So this is Lexington class battle cruiser, which of course was never finished. Uh, Not really even never started, I guess. Well, I guess it was started. It ended up being an aircraft carrier, but nonetheless, this was what would have been a battle cruiser with cage masts, which I'm a big sucker for cage masts in a model kit. But again, this is very, very crude, very, very rough, very, very, very first stages. But after we get everything kind of laid out, um, make sure we got all the correct amount of guns, correct amount of deck clutter, if you will. Make sure all the platforms, all the shapes, everything is there. Then we'll really start adding all the detail and figuring out how to get this thing full of photo etch rails and all the other goodies that you would expect from a Blue Ridge models, the first Blue Ridge models release in years, actually. So I do not have a time frame on this. This is another one of those things that we have just pulled out of the filing cabinet, so to speak, now that we're able to get working on things again. But uh, it's cool. Lots of things to come and very excited about it. So it'll happen at some time. Tim, good to see you tonight, my friend. Hope you're having a good one. Hello to you too, Stephen. Bill asks about HS models. Yes, HS models is one of those brands that I'm talking about adding. In fact, we've already added them. At the moment, we only have their detail upset for the Curtis Wilbur. However, as you may already know, they are doing a second version of that upgrade set, and I'm trying to pull it up because I have all of the sudden forgot exactly which version of that ship they're doing. Give me a second. I'll have it in a moment. There it is, the USS Carney. That's right, DDG 64. It's a Flight 1 version of the Arleigh Burke, and they are doing a super detail set to convert, I guess, the Curtis Wilbur from I Love Kit 200 scale to convert it to the Carney. So we will continue to carry their stuff. Bill, I'm assuming you're probably referring to their vast selection of other ship model goodies, and they are definitely something we're looking at. The only problem is, and this is just an unfortunate thing, everybody in the world is creating the same stuff, really. I mean, now everybody's got their own flavor. Heck, we're doing our own Blue Ridge versions of a lot of these things. We've got our own flavor, if you will. But, if everybody does the same things, sometimes the ones that are not the cheapest, they don't win out. But we definitely have the brand, and we'll bring in the things that I think make the most sense. If there's something specific that you want from them, shoot me an email and tell me. We'll take a second look at it, and it may be something that we can bring in on our next shipment, maybe when the Carney upgrade sets are ready. Let's see. And Chris, yeah, don't worry, buddy. Your Massachusetts is coming down the line. A lot, I don't want to say all because it's not all, but a lot of the original Blue Ridge models releases that we're trying to pull those out, upgrade those. Things like the Normandy, things like the Wolverine, and I am kind of excited. I want to get we've always talked about doing the Sable, the follow up to the Wolverine kit. Stuff like that's going to be on the table. The USS Comstock, my grandfather's ship that we did in resin, we're going to pull that back out, do a little upgrading on that. So lots of stuff. And Chris, I know you're wanting that Massachusetts. Don't worry, it's coming. Scott, good to see you tonight from Idaho. And Rich, good to see you. And Tim says the new sprue cutters work well. Well, that is good to know. They grab them over here. I don't know. I just can't say enough good stuff about them. I find myself using the yellow one the most. The black one, the super detail one, it works extremely well. But like I was telling a buddy earlier tonight, you got to be careful with these black ones. If you have both of them, you can see what I'm talking about. But these are the guillotine or the single blade style nippers, where one side of them is sharp and the other side is flat, so it slices through instead of pinching. Well, the reason the black ones are so much more expensive than the yellow ones, we call these the high precision cutters versus just precision cutters. And the reason is the cut side, the blade side is so small and fine, it'll slice through the most delicate parts like butter. Only problem is if you do like I did a couple of nights ago and you try to cut off a big chunk of plastic off of a 35th scale Dora railgun, you will find out very quickly that those blades are not very strong and they are not for cutting through big, thick stuff. So just keep that in mind. If you're looking to get these, I would highly recommend getting both and using this for most things and reserving this for those really, really, really fine, delicate parts, whether it be super small ship parts, whether it be some of these new engine wirings and whatnot in these new amazingly detailed 48 scale aircraft. Whatever the case may be, don't just assume, like I did the other night, that you can cut through whatever you want to with these with no, without causing them trouble, because they are delicate. So just keep that in mind. But keeping that in mind, they're amazing for, cutting through stuff and minimal cleanup. So glad you like yours, Tim. And Ed, yes, I see. I read your. I didn't fully read your question before I said yes. Uh, the answer to the question I thought you were asking is, will flagship return under our house brand? And that answer is yes. Specifically, the photo etch, maybe. So the the company that Rusty was using to produce the photo etch, I forget what the name of the factory was, but they quit doing photo etch. They don't do it anymore. Now, thankfully, before they're doing something else now. I don't know what they're doing, but thankfully they sent me all the patterns, the files, the molds, whatever you want to call it, the films, really. Send them back to me, so I have them. So at this point, um, it is just a question of, which ones do we redo. He certainly had some that would be great to redo, but we just got to take a look at those. Um, that brand specifically, flagship, the Civil War boats are the first thing that we're focusing on. Choctaw specifically is the very first one we're focusing on, and that the Choctaw will be the first of the flagship kits that we re-release, and we sincerely hope that happens in the first half of the new year. Um, I would love nothing more than to have the Choctaw kits available at Nationals, but uh, we'll just have to see how it goes. But that'll be the first thing, and then the rest of the kits will follow, and then we'll have to look at the photo etch. Ed, if you want to shoot me an email about which photo etch set you're looking for, I actually have a handful of most of those photo etch sets in a box. So if I happen to have more than two or three of the one you're looking for, I might can come off of one. But we kept back a couple of each, so that when we get to the point of redesigning, we can compare the new production to the original and make sure that it's the same. But shoot me an email, let me know what you're looking for, and perhaps I will have what you're looking for. And thank you for that Panzer Colors book, by the way, Ed. Ends up, I did not have that one already, so that was excellent. Ed found a Squadron Signal Publications Panzer Colors book at some store this past week, and shot me a message and said, "Hey, do you have this?" And he picked it up for me, and I paid him back, of course, and that was excellent because I'm still trying to collect as many of the Squadron Signal Publications books as I have. I still don't have even half of them. I've got about 400 or 500 of them now, but there's still about 3 or 4, maybe 500 of them left that I don't have. So always on the lookout for them. Let's see, Charles with some thoughts on Flagship. That is not a bad idea, Charles. The reason that I mentioned we're going to start with Choctaw is it's actually it comes down to the fact that Choctaw was the last kit that Rusty produced before he unfortunately passed away. But it was the first kit that he did 100% in 3D. Now, granted, at the time that he did it, 3D printing was not what it is now. This was just a few years ago. So he did 3D print the master, but then that was cleaned up, fixed up, and then turned into a resin. Made a rubber mold and did resin castings out of it. So the fact that it was the last kit that he produced, I've gotten countless emails from customers that have shown interest in purchasing that kit because they were not able to get it from Rusty while those were available. So there's a demand reason that we want to do it first, but there's also kind of it's going to be the easiest for us to do because the 3D files are already there. We just got to modify them, upgrade them a little bit, and design it to where we're basically going to be a 3D printed kit. So we'll see. But the rest of the stuff, once we get into figuring out how we're going to re-release all the resin stuff, your idea is pretty spot on. My in-house designer kind of refers to it as doing the low-hanging fruit first. And those figures and some of the accessories that he's got, some of the cannons, some of the things that are fewer parts will certainly be the easier low-hanging fruit, so to speak, that we'll be able to get out first. So we'll just see how that goes. Let's see, Mark, good to see you tonight. Glad you enjoyed that video. And Wayne, yeah, going back to the Ford, yeah, the Tilley crane, for sure. And it'll be interesting to see if that is in fact 3D printed from Trumpeter. I feel like they would have mentioned that in the, the details they sent us, but there's a lot of times how would you say it? A language barrier when I am interpreting what they tell me. Yeah. So anyway, there you go, Carlos. Yeah, CV1 to the Ford. That'd be awesome. The first and the latest, right? Michael, that Gecko air cushion, it's a pretty big box for a 35th scale kit. It's a pretty big kit for a 35th scale kit, actually. The most we start getting 35th scale kits, and there's kind of a standard box, if you will. Like old Tamiya kits, they're kind of 2 or 3 different sizes. But then Dragon, this is just my observation. I could be totally off in left field here, but Dragon kind of standardized 35th scale kit box sizes to some degree. So that's kind of what I usually consider standard boxes for 35th scale kits. I mean, like in our shipping room, the boxes that we use to ship that fit, like a Dragon 35th scale kit, man, we got tons of those boxes because, I mean, Dragon uses that box, and Ming and Tacom, some of their kits start getting a little thicker nowadays, but that kind of size is kind of standard, I guess. So compared to that, yeah, that Gecko kit's pretty big. I know what you mean. Chris, going back to our challenge, I don't know if you're going to win or not. I've been working not every night, but every other couple of nights anyway, a few times a week on Dora. And so what Chris is referring to here, if you guys missed the show several weeks ago, Chris and I kind of have a unspoken contest, or I guess it was spoken, contest going that if I finish the Dora before he finishes, was it 2? 700 scale kits, uh, then he owes me a drink. And if he gets his 2 kits done first, then I owe him at the next model show that we're at together. So I don't know, Chris. I'm working on it as quick as I can, but honestly, it there are so many parts. I'll sit up here and work for 2 or 3 hours after my wife goes to bed, and I sit back and look, and it doesn't look like I've done anything. It's like I'm spinning my wheels. So hopefully, you're having faster paced success than I am, but we'll see. And Scott, can you still get a bloody 100th print? Absolutely. So if you go on our website, let me show you how to do this. Go on our website, and my mouse is freaking out on me. There we go. Go to the website, and why doesn't this work ever? Just type in poster, because it's the only one that I currently have listed. And there it is. Now, if you bought the bloody 100th kit from us, then you should have received a coupon code to get this for free. You do got to pay a few bucks for shipping, but you get the poster for free. So if you're buying something else anyway, just throw this poster in your shopping cart, plug in that coupon code, and boom, it's free. We just throw it in the next shipment with you. If you bought the bloody 100th kit from us, the Edward kit, and you do not recall seeing that email with your and this is the kit I'm talking about. If you don't recall seeing that email with a coupon code, shoot me an email, and I'll send the code to you. I don't want to put it here because you guys that bought the kit from me, that's the ones that get to benefit from a free poster. Let's see. The Tacom Grief, those little half tracks from Tacom, they are not here yet. They deviate a little bit from the standard box size that I was referring to. Michael, 350 scale. Man, those sea views are cool in 350 scale. And those Hanaboos, man, that the tack, I'm assuming you're talking about the Tacom 350 scale Hanaboo set that's got the Hanaboo 1, 2, and 3 in it. That is a really cool model. I've got one somewhere. I don't know where it's at, but it's really cool. But man, we sold out of them so fast, and Tacom sold the entire production run so fast. I really hope that they bring those back into production sometime this next year, because they're just really neat. I'm glad you got one. Rich Dan, how about a 1/6 scale Muffler Man? So I guess anything is possible when properly financed. But a 1/6 scale Muffler Man would be about 4 feet tall. So it would be pretty big. Now, what's interesting is we made and will make again in the coming year a 124 scale Muffler Man model. We offered that Muffler Man in 124 scale for the car guys. And it paired really well with if you remember, I think it was Academy did a gas station, like an old Texaco gas station, using that as a diorama base, put a couple car models out there and use our 24 scale Muffler Man. That was the idea behind that. But the 124 scale Muffler Man is the size of what you and I would consider a traditional 1/6 scale figure. I'll make sure to get one out and show it to you next week on the show, but it's about 12 inches tall. So, but yeah, a true 1/6 scale Muffler Man, he'd be about 4 feet tall. But it's really neat if you get the 24 scale one, and you have that old Texaco gas station or service station, I think it was, from Academy. You can really set up a really cool little diorama that would basically look like the American Giants Museum I was showing you. I mean, that's what it would look like in 24 scale. The guy standing next to the building. So it's pretty cool. We did that in 24 scale. We did it in uh, 87 scale. It was very popular for the model railroad guys, as you can probably imagine. And then we did a smaller one in whatever N scale is. I'm forgetting what N scale is, 1/60th or whatever it is. So it was a little guy, but it was pretty popular too. So it was neat, and we'll bring those back. Frank, yes, I have to apologize about this, but sometimes things are out of my control. And like I said at the beginning of this video, sometimes I get excited about things and I jump the gun on making certain announcements. Uh, Unfortunately, I was supposed to do the video last week with Valeria, but unfortunately, her schedule is as busy as mine, if not more, and she just something came up and she needed to reschedule. So it is still in the pipeline. We just got to get our schedules to align. The time difference between me here in Chattanooga and her over in Kyiv in Ukraine, there's a little bit of a challenge there getting our schedules to align, but it's coming. We're going to do it as soon as possible, and got a couple other interviews from that neck of the woods, so to speak, that I guess I shouldn't jump the gun on telling you about. But lots of cool stuff. So that is coming. It just I did not was not able to do it last Friday like I thought we were going to. Let's see, David. The dragon. Let me see which ones that I've got because they've re-released two of them so far. You're looking for 710. Oh, yeah, the actual gearing itself, the original version, they're gone. We sold them all. They were sold out in the pre-order stage, and Dragon has already sold out, and they're moving on. You can get DD 805. I still do have some of that version. The Chevalier, if I've got that pronunciation right. That one's available, but the 710 version is gone. What Dragon has been doing for the last year and a half or so, they've basically been going down there and what appears to be their entire product range in all scales, and they're basically just rerunning stuff. They're doing short production runs. I don't know the exact number. I don't know if they're doing 1,000, 5,000, or 10,000. I don't know. I have a feeling that they are producing very, very close to what they get pre-orders for from their various distributors around the world. I don't know that for a fact, but considering when we place an order, by the time they get in and we sell through them and we go back to buy more, most of the items are already gone. So that leads me to believe they're doing their production run quantities based on the orders that they get. So specifically with Dragon, when we put something up for pre-order, if it's something that you've really been looking forward to, make sure you get a pre-order in because like the 710 version of the gearing, there's no guarantee we'll be able to go get more. We'll try. If they have them, we'll certainly buy more once we sell out and need more. But that's kind of what I've been seeing from Dragon lately is short production runs. Now, some things they got so many different 35th scale kits. I mean, how many different versions of the Shermans and the Panzers and all that do they have? So some of those you may see sticking around for a little bit longer, but some of their ship models where they only have one, or maybe in the case of the gearing, they've got two or three different versions of the class. But a lot of these that there's only one or two, they seem to be going a little bit quicker because your options are one or two versions, not 10 or 20 different versions. So just keep that in mind as we continue to put new things up for pre-order. One of the things that this has absolutely nothing to do with ship models, but if we want to jump back over to humongous models for a moment, the one model kit that almost gives the Dora a run for its money as far as how big it is, even though it's not quite as big, by the way, if you consider all aspects of it, is the 1/6 scale Sherman that Dragon did years ago. That is finally coming back out, and that one I know for a fact is a very, very limited production run. And we've got a number of them coming. I don't have it up for pre-order yet. As big of a kit as that is, I'm kind of waiting a little bit longer till I know for a fact how much I'm going to have in shipping those boogers to me. But that is coming. So if you are interested in the 1/6 scale Sherman, email me so I know that you want one, and I can go ahead and put you in the list even before I put them up for pre-order. And in the email, I can give you a ballpark price range of what it's going to be, so you can know. But those are going to be coming. And they got a bunch of other stuff. Jumping back over to ship models real quick, David. It's not a gearing, but one of them that's coming that I'm personally excited about. Talking about 350 scale submarines, they're reissuing their 350 scale Ohio class submarine. That's really the only Ohio class plastic kit out there, at least unless I'm forgetting something. And that's finally coming back into production. So that'll be pretty exciting. I hope to have those up for pre-order as well in my next round of pre-order additions here in the next couple of weeks. All right. Let's see. The Way having some issues with his decals. Well, so silvering issues on decals, that can turn into a big can of worms because there are so many different different things that could cause that. I know for myself, whenever I start getting silvering, it drives me absolutely up the wall. Usually for me, it ends up being some sort of air getting trapped under there, and this is not a perfect science. If anybody else has a trick, please put it in the chat so the Way can check it out, and we'll everybody give the ideas, right? But what works for me usually, at least it works better than when I don't do this, is I call it the sandwich approach. You hear people talking about putting your gloss coat down and all that stuff, but I put the gloss coat where I'm putting the decal, and then I put the decal on top of that. And a lot of people, and I have done it too, a lot of people will then do your flat coat because you don't want it glossy, right? Well, heck, you might on a Stearman, but anyway, what I usually do and what has been working for me lately is gloss coat, decal, gloss coat. Then I do my final finish, whether it's a flat coat, a matte coat, or a gloss or whatever. And what that does for me is the reason you put that gloss coat down on your model first is to create a smooth surface for when you put the decal on. It's on there. Now, I'm not talking about smooth. I mean, you got your rivets and your lines and everything that's got to go through, and that's what you need your microset and microsol and all that fun stuff for. But the gloss coat allows it to adhere to the smooth gloss finish versus the potentially imperfect plastic or resin, whatever you're using. And when I started doing that, it doesn't fix it every time, but my frustration with silvering was significantly reduced. Now, the other thing that also helped me, and this is not fun, and a lot of people probably have a lot more luck or a lot better results with their techniques than I do, but this also helped me. If the carrier film on the decals, I cut as much of that off as I possibly can with my X-Acto knife and leave as little bit of the clear around there, because for me, most of the silvering happens on that clear part, because even if it silvers where the color part is, you may or may not see it as bad. So Anyway, my 2 cents, that's what I do. It works for me usually. Works for me better than when I don't do that. So, again, anybody else has some ideas, some techniques for the way, please throw them in the chat and uh, maybe we can help this guy get his silvering problem gone. David asking about gas patch models and Wingsy. Uh, we used to carry the gas patch models, and I have had those back in the free time hobbies days. And actually, I think I still have a few of his little guns and whatnot. But we have recently made contact with him again, and he said, absolutely, you can sell my stuff again. So don't have any headed this way yet, but I know he makes a few good kits and looking forward to those. Wingsy, that is another Ukraine brand, I believe, if I remember correctly. And I know that Russ has recently, in the past few weeks, asked me if I knew anything about them and if I would be interested in them if he started carrying them. So that's another brand that you will very possibly see at Squadron in the near future. Rich, yeah, the going back to the Muffler Man again, yeah, making a reproduction is certainly possible, and I'm not saying that we would not do that. I'd rather have a reproduction standing out front of the warehouse than not have one at all. Uh, but we're keeping our eyes out. Maybe an original will come up available. And one day, once we get all of our other ducks in a row and get everything going, if the itch gets too bad and we just can't stand it anymore, maybe we'll look into getting a reproduction. Yeah, and you guys got to remember that these chats, sometimes I'm answering some of these questions that you might have asked 10 or 20 minutes ago, and I'm just getting to them. So I apologize. I appreciate you guys keeping the chat going. Ed, yeah, the Muffler Man kits, we'll have them up on the Squadron site sometime in the near future. Tom, the Gunsy stuff. So that I actually have a bunch of Gunsy stuff in the warehouse now. If you want to email me and tell me exactly what you're looking for, I'll be happy to see if I have it. We got a shipment of the stuff, kind of in an untraditional manner, I guess we'll say, and I am just waiting on the way we're going to get them going forward to be set in stone before I price them and before I put them on the website. Make sure I'm going to be able to get them consistently. Because some of that stuff, like the Mr. Surfacer, I mean, that's like really, really good primer, and I don't want to put it up on the website to sell out in a day and tease you guys and then never get it again. So that is a brand that we're working on. We got some successfully, but shipping lacquer based paints from other parts of the world is not as simple as you would think it would be, and be able to sell it for what we hope to be able to sell it to you guys for. So shoot me an email. Let me see if I've got that stuff. And if I do, be happy to go ahead and sell you some. It's just not going to be on the Squadron website right now. Yeah, Ken, the Paul Bunyan and the Blue Ox upstate New York. I know the one you're talking about. There was all sorts of different variations of that guy through the years. And I don't know what's going on with my mouse. Hmm. Yeah, Mark talking about the different fiberglass stuff. So the factory or the place that made these American Fiberglass, they made all sorts of stuff out of fiberglass. I mean, if you've ever seen big fiberglass figures or animals or anything really, like that, like oh, what is it? The Sinclair dinosaur, all that kind of stuff. They made all that. Muffler Man was, certainly one of their bigger things they made, but they made all sorts of stuff. And over at Joel Baker's American Giants YouTube page, he's got all sorts of videos on the history of these things, mostly about the Giants, the Muffler Men, Texaco, the Big Friend. They had one. Um, there's a company that's still around called Fast Fiberglass that still does this kind of stuff. So, uh, we'll see. Let's see. Do we expect problems getting Combrig kits in the future? So we have not got a shipment from Combrig in quite a while, and I don't know what's going to go on there. So we'll just have to wait and play that one by ear and see what happens in the future. See, Kimberly's working on some kits, hoping to be done by the end of the month. Heck yeah. Get done with them and send them to me. We're going to have the next. So I guess I should go ahead and mention this. Next Wednesday night, we're going to take the week off. We got Thanksgiving the day after. We got family things to do that night. Perhaps you do as well. So next Wednesday, we're not going to have a show. But the next Wednesday, December 4th, that's our show and tell. So, yeah, finish that kit, Kimberly. Get me some pictures. We'll put it on the next show and tell. And anybody else, send me the pictures. I hadn't looked. I've got a few pictures you guys have sent so far, but not too much. So load me up. Let's have another good show and tell for December. And it'll be good. I'm looking forward to that. But just remember, no show next Wednesday night. I will probably have, if here I go again saying things before they're ready, but I'm hoping to have a small video of some sort that I will post and premiere at 9 o'clock next Wednesday night in place of the live show. But we're not going to do it live next Wednesday. Let's see. Kind of skipping down through the chat a little bit so we can go ahead and wrap this thing up for the evening. But let's see. Miami Dolphin, is Squadron written on the nippers? Absolutely. I'll try to show this if it'll show on the screen. But right in the, see if I can get it to focus. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's right in the top of it there. It's got the Squadron Eagle head and it says Squadron. So we got that on all of them. And then also it comes with this little nifty, I don't know, protection case, I guess is what we call it. And it's got our logo on it too. So yeah, they we're as we redo. Squadron has had a line of tools for the longest time, Squadron tools, and we are slowly but surely upgrading those to better, newer versions of the tools. We've got so one of the most popular tools for the longest time, besides sprue cutters, of course, is what Squadron always called the seam scraper. It's an excellent tool. Perhaps you have one. If you don't, you will be able to get one soon. But we've got a new version of that. It'll have our logo on it, and we're trying to put the logo on everything now and make new packaging, just kind of upgrade everything a little bit, if you will. So, yeah, and Ken, the red nippers, which I don't know, where are they? I don't know where they are. They are heavy duty. Yeah, you can use those things to cut whatever you want. They are pretty heavy duty, and they're relatively inexpensive. So if you were trying to cut metal brass rods or something and you do happen to break them, you didn't just ruin your expensive set of precision sprue nippers. So that's why if you buy the 3-pack, that's why we did the red handle ones. They're made for just cutting off whatever you need, just to rough cut is what I call it. Robert, the 1/6 scale Shermans, I am not an expert on the remote control conversions. I know a lot of people do that with like the 200 scale ships, and I have seen people doing that 1/6 scale Sherman in remote control, but I have no idea if that's like an out of the box thing or if they're having to. I just don't know. So I've seen it done. I know people have done it, but as far as what they're using out of the box and what they had to do aftermarket or scratch build, I don't know. I'm not the guy to speak on that. All right, now I'm finally getting down here to where some of you guys were talking about those decals. So Miami says it's all about prevention, making sure you have a smooth gloss using decal settings. Also, kind of the same thing that I was talking about. Looks like Miami Dolphins is doing the same thing, and yeah, just making sure where you're applying the decals is as smooth as possible. And that microsol and that microset, and there's other decal setting solutions like he was talking about the Gunzy decal set. Um, so you've heard of Salva set. There's lots of different versions of that. Uh, Microset and Microsol by Microscale is perhaps one of the more well-known uh, options. And that stuff really just once you get the decal in place and you apply that setting solution, as it's referred to, once you start applying that, it really makes the decal soft. It softens it up and it allows it to go around curves. If you're putting it in if you got a panel line or if you've got rivets or if you've got any kind of anything that makes it not smooth, that will allow it to kind of conform to those shapes. Uh, but whatever it is, whether it's the other thing I do, whether it's flat or not, is and I like to use a Q-tip. And once I get my setting solution on there, I let it soak for a minute, and then I kind of just push very, very softly with my Q-tip to kind of put it on, so to speak. A lot of people don't do that, and I've seen a lot of people get really good results just kind of letting the decal naturally, suck down. Let the microsol and microset do its job and let it naturally suck down to the model. But maybe I'm impatient, but I just I have some luck sometimes using a Q-tip to kind of uh, help the sucking down process speed up a little bit. And Ed says he's got a buddy that uses Microset and Future as the setting solution. So, and here we go using the suck word again. It just the Future sucks the decal down tight, minimizing the silvering. So it's uh, it's it's kind of a common thing we got going here. So I'm glad I'm not out in left field. It looks like some of you guys are uh, doing the thing. Now, one thing you've got to keep in mind too, when you start putting decal setting solution on, or in Ed's case, the Future, whatever, you got to be really, really careful moving the decal at that point because the setting solution it really, really softens that decal up, and if you're not careful, when you start moving it, you can rip it. So that's one of the reasons we offer, going back to the Squadron tools and the new versions of the Squadron tools, the little decal positioner that we sell. It's got a little rubber head on the end of it, and it really you can use that to kind of make real fragile movements with your decal. Because when you use your finger, if you're like me, stick it down there, and I rip them every time. So the tool like the decal positioner, you can really kind of just move it around a little bit, minimal movements. But point is, you just got to be very careful once you start applying that decal setting solution, because it's really easy to really destroy your decal once you start putting that solution on. All right, now we're taking a left turn. Any news on Eagle Quest 2025? No. And for the record, Frank, I know you're probably laughing right now, but for the record, that is not an official thing. I wish it was. I wish I could tell you we've got it all planned out and that we're excited about it, but that is not an official thing. We do hope to make it an official thing at some point in the future, but all these other things on the coming out of the filing cabinet, as I keep going back to, we got to get all of our other ducks in a row first. So uh, we will see. That's something that I really do want to do one day, but uh, perhaps not this year. Mark, I do not know on the fly hall. Actually haven't heard anything from them in a little while since the Ticonderoga came out. So I will have to check on that and get back with you on that later. Arnell, no, we have not seen anything official on any of the big five in 350 scale, early or late. So those are certainly something I'm looking forward to one day, but nothing on it yet. Let's see. We're going to wrap this up in just a minute. Got a couple more chats that I'll jump into real quick, and then we will say good evening for the night. Miami says he's got that scraper in 20 plus years. It really is a good tool, so I'm glad you got one. Randy talking about Mr. Hobby being the ultimate 3D printing project. I'm assuming you're referring to the 4 foot tall one we were talking about earlier. That would be, I guess if I sliced it into enough small pieces, I guess theoretically I could print our own Muffler Man to stand out front. I mean, that would be that would be pretty impressive. There is I just thought about this. You're talking about the reproduction ones. There is a smaller version of the Muffler Man. He doesn't look exactly the same, but there's like a 10 foot tall one. Theoretically, print one of those. It'd probably take 6 months straight to to print that many pieces and glue it all together. But good to see you tonight, Scale Perfection. Glad you can make it in. Yeah, Miami, talking about Ammo by MiG, making the decal stuff. Probably everybody makes it. There's so many different versions of it, but it all and the way talking about the Mr. Mark Setter again, it all basically works the same. Everybody's got their different flavors, if you will, their different ways of doing it. Some of it's works. Some of it's stronger than others. Miami says Solvaset. That was, everybody says Solvaset is the strongest out there. It'll destroy decals, but I've seen this said a lot. If all else fails, use Solvaset. There is no decal too hard for it to soften up. But let's see. And the way, again, talking about most of the visible silvering in the clear sections. Yeah. So the easiest way to get rid of that, do all the other things we've talked about. Excuse me. But the easiest way to get rid of the silvering between the colored sections is just get your X-Acto knife and cut out the clear parts. I mean, that's the easiest thing to do. Then you don't have anything to worry about. So that always happens, especially on big decals where there's a lot of clear space between the colored parts. Sometimes it's just easier to cut that out. And what you can do too, when I was talking about using the Q-tip, the silvering under there, I don't know what it technically is, but to me, it's almost like it's air getting trapped under there, because when I use that Q-tip, a lot of times I can work it out. It's kind of like putting a vinyl sticker graphic on your car window. When you put it on, you got to use a little credit card or something to push all the air bubbles out. Sometimes it's almost like the same concept when I'm working on my decals. If I've got a little air bubble or a little silvering or whatever it is, I can use the Q-tip to kind of work it out. And when you've got that large clear space in the middle of a decal between colors, there's nowhere to push. There's nowhere to work the Solvaset under there or over there or whatever. But if you cut out even just a triangle or a square out of that clear space, then all of a sudden you've got an exposed hole in the middle that you can potentially work any kind of problems out of in the middle of the decal. So there's all sorts of ways around it. Everybody's got two different ways to do it, and everybody will tell you do it this way or do it that way. And what I would say, practice with it, and whatever works for you, that's what you got to stick with, because what works for me might not work for you. I mean, that's why we've got so many different types of paint, so many different types of tools, so many different types of glue. At the end of the day, it all works in its own way. But if you've got a better result with this or that, use that. You don't have to do it my way because I say it's the best, because it's not. It's the best for me. But what works for you is going to be the best for you. But hopefully, some of these ideas that we've thrown out this evening might give you some something to try, and maybe you'll find something that'll stick and work for you. Mike, good to see you from Wisconsin tonight, buddy. You're catching the tail end. We're about to wrap it up for the evening. I'm glad you caught it, though. You can check out the replay over on the YouTube channel. It'll be up here in just a few minutes. Scott, I am attending the AMP show in Atlanta in February. I just booked my hotels this week, actually. So looking forward to that. Make sure to come by and say hello. Always a good time at that show. Ed, yeah, that's you know, there's a lot of possibilities these days with the 3D printing for sure. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for this evening. I really appreciate you hanging out with me. Always a good time. I hate that I'm going to not be here next Wednesday, but it'll just make the following Wednesday that much better, right? Which the 4th December, that'll be our next live show, and it's going to be our show and tell. So please send me pictures of the models that you've completed recently, or perhaps not so recently. Always a good time seeing what you guys have completed. Y'all take it easy. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Good evening.